Hi everyone, nice to be here today. Everyone experiences defining moments in their childhood, and mine was, without question, when my mum died, for all of the obvious emotional reasons, but also because of the new direction that my and my family's lives went in as a result. This new life direction all started on the day that my dad decided to quit a safe job as a high school teacher to set up a new business as a means of being able to bring up 3 children on his own and do the necessary work which that involves. His business idea and product were brilliant. This was the pre-internet era of the early 1990s, however, and unfortunately for him and for his children, which I was one of them, he didn't know anything about managing business cash flow. And over a period of about 5 years, he ran out of money and almost lost everything. Little wonder then that I started my finance career as a small business specialist to help budding entrepreneurs avoid the fate of my dad's business by ensuring that they were fully aware of the opportunities and the responsibilities of going into business. Since then, I've started my own business and run it successfully for 10 years. Little wonder too that the expertise I've developed in that time is in managing business cash flow, managing cash flow generally. As you can see, therefore, the fallout from my mum's death all those years ago really has defined the path of my life. I speak to you today, therefore, as a financial professional, but perhaps more important than that, as somebody who has experienced all sides of small business. And hence my passion to guide you in the right direction and to maximize your chances of success. I've already mentioned the importance of balancing opportunities with responsibilities. If you have a flair for care, in terms of opportunities, the care sector is a great place to be because it's one of the fastest growing parts of the economy. And the good thing is that you can make your care business as small or as big as you like, depending on how much you want to work, how much you want to earn, and how you want to cut the cloth of your life, and what hours or days you want to be available. Somebody at the side of the room, I don't know if she wants me to point her out, but if you look over there, the lady in the green jumper is Tanya, that's my wife. And the reason I'm pointing Tanya out is, as well as being a professional photographer, she also works as an independent support worker through Mabel to look after 87-year-old Juanita every week. As such, I've been able to see for myself just how well this model of care works, with Juanita choosing the service and the person she wants, and having control over her own care package, and feeling safe, secure, and happy. In terms of the responsibilities that go with the opportunities I've referred to, these responsibilities, that's Juanita, by the way, all start with the basics of any new business, including ABNs, business accounts, business structures, and tax, all of which will be the focus of today's presentation. And I hope that you're going to get a lot out of this content. In Australia, it all starts with an ABN, or Australian Business Number. Go to business.gov.au to set up your ABN. My advice is to avoid other providers of this service because the government website is free. When you go into business, there are a few choices to make, and one of those, the first of those in fact, is whether to be a sole trader or whether to set up a company. At this point, I just need to say that the information I give you on these topics is general in nature. None of this is personal advice because I obviously can't factor in your individual personal circumstances and goals. What I can tell you about being a sole trader, though, is that it's straightforward and cheap to run, because as a person, you're actually the business, and there's no super payments to make, so that can be quite convenient at the start. And you can withdraw money from the business, known as business drawings, without the complication of having to pay yourself a wage. A company, which is known as a proprietary limited in Australia, is at arm's length because it's a separate entity. So there's less personal liability for you, but it is more complex and expensive to run, including more accountant's fees. Starting as a sole trader or a partnership, if there are two of you, is one way to go, and then reviewing this business status according to the progress of your business later on. For the purposes of this presentation, I'm going to assume sole trader status, but as I say, a company is also a possibility. After deciding on your business status, you'll need to make sure that your banking is sorted. And to be honest, a separate business account is a must, preferably one that doesn't charge any fees. Set up direct debits on this account for business-related costs, such as your phone, and only use your business account debit card for business-related spending, such as stationery. On the subject of which, it's great to have an accountant who is well-versed in small business. For questions such as what qualifies as business spending and whether they would recommend setting up an accounts package, an online accounts package such as Xero. And when it comes to claiming tax for business travel, if you'd be best to complete a logbook for all travel, or whether you personally would be best to use the cents per kilometre method, by which you claim a set rate, which is currently 78 cents per business kilometre for up to 5,000 business kilometres a year without a logbook. On the same internet banking as your business account, consider setting up a separate account for putting tax aside. Most banks give you the option of a free online savings account. Because tax is usually paid quarterly, a separate account like this allows you to put money aside more frequently so that you don't fall behind. And as and when your business earns $75,000 or more a year, you'll need to think about putting GST aside, assuming, of course, that you're not GST registered already. One of the main reasons business owners come to me for help is because they fall behind with their tax. It's so easy to do when you see the money starting to flow in and you think it's all yours to spend. I'm glad I'm getting good feedback there. You think it's all yours for you to spend, and if you don't put something in place from the very start of your business as a priority, you all know what's going to happen. The ATO is going to come knocking, and your problems are going to snowball. So congratulations, because you in this room are already thinking about managing tax before you've even launched your new business, which is exactly where I want you to be. The principle of putting tax aside into a dedicated account like this is that out of sight is out of mind. If you just think that this money is not yours to begin with, you cannot go wrong. That's why it's so important for this money not to hang around in your main business account. In the first year, it's particularly easy to fall into this trap because that's when the ATO tend to leave you in peace. Not because they're so big-hearted, I'm sure they are, but because they don't yet have a precedent as to what your business should be earning. You can bet your bottom pre-tax dollar, though, that After your first year in business, there will be a knock on the door. And by setting up everything properly, planning ahead, and diligently putting this money aside, when there is, you'll actually be happy to open the door. Similar to tax, you can set up a separate dedicated bank account for superannuation. The current minimum rate of super being 10.5% of earnings, progressively increasing to 12% by 2025. This isn't actually an obligation for you as a sole trader, but it's great to think about saving your retirement. Any form of self-employed person is the one thing they tend to overlook, so it's a good thing to be thinking about from the get-go. Another tip for you is to get into the habit of reviewing the progress of your business on a weekly basis. I look at my business account at the start of every week to see what happened the previous week in terms of revenue and costs, and I then transfer the relevant amount of tax from my business account to my income tax account, and the relevant amount of drawings from my business account to my personal account. You can find a tax calculator on the ATO's website, or you can use another calculator such as TaxCalc. You could also set up a separate dedicated annual leave account. Although many people go into business for a better life, well, everybody does really, they often end up working longer because they can't afford to take annual leave. So this is one way that you can address this problem, and by doing so, prioritize your work-life balance. I also review my personal budget every week at the same time as I review my business finances. Most entrepreneurs are so excited by their new business that they spend all their time on planning their business finances, and in the process they leap over their personal finances. As a result, most business owners can't tell you how much they need to draw from their business to cover their personal outgoings. A good personal budget will, however, give you the answer to this all-important question. Because of this lack of understanding, many business owners draw money randomly, and they end up using their business account like an ATM. This lack of control is a big part of why the Australian government estimates that up to 1/3 of small business owners suffer mental ill health. But by reviewing your finances every week from the very start of your business and putting tax aside and paying yourself the right amount of drawings, these habits can actually become a source of financial well-being. We're all familiar with pet owners whose dog actually walks them. As the boss of your own business, it's so important to be walking your financial dog instead of your financial dog walking you. When you do, you will find that you get to know the whole of your finances, business and personal, like the back of your hand. And if you're still in your day job, that you have a real grasp for when you should be changing your side hustle into your main hustle, if that's what you'd like to do, such that you do it at the right time, rather than jumping too soon and regretting it when it's too late. As a general rule, if you are looking to change your side hustle into your main hustle by downsizing your career as you grow your business, my advice is to hang on for as long as you can as an employee, even if it means burning the candle at both ends for a while, because this really lengthens your business runway, meaning that your new enterprise does not need to take off straight away. In Australia, where 60% that's a big figure, 60% of new businesses fail within the first 3 years. Staying on in your job for longer is one important way you can ensure that your business is on the right side of this statistic. Of those businesses which fail, 50% are actually profitable, believe it or not. Some of these profitable new business closures are because tax was not planned for at the start, which is why I cannot emphasize enough how important this aspect of your financial preparation is. An insurance safety net is another essential element of any business. With this in mind, for each invoiced session, Mabel provides public liability, professional indemnity, and travel insurance for its independent support workers, including insurance for travel for support sessions. As sole traders, though, workers' comp is not covered. Work, health and safety being the responsibility of independent support workers, and being another example of a responsibility that comes with this opportunity. To recap these main points that we've been looking at, we've been talking about ABNs, selecting the right business structure, which bank accounts to open and how to use them, how a personal budget can empower your business finances, and the importance of engaging with your finances and proactively managing your taxes every week. This might seem like a lot, but some of this simply involves the one-time setup of your financial infrastructure, which, when combined with these habits, these new financial habits, will be the gift that keeps on giving and the source of sustainable financial well-being. The SAS have an unofficial saying, train hard, fight easy, because all they do every day is train, so that when they're sent into a situation for real, they're carrying out complex orders on autopilot. And it will be the same for you. Being the successful CFO of your own business will be second nature once these financial habits become ingrained for you. Before I finish up today, I would like to leave you with a challenge. If any of you have decided to become independent support workers, but you're not planning to open a business account, my challenge for you is to speak to a bank next week about whether it would make sense to do so. And at the same time, to consider ordering fries with your burger, by which I mean consider opening at least one free online savings account for tax, as well as a business account, because the combination of these accounts are the hallmark of any well-run business. Finally, if I could go back in time to any point in history, I would head straight back to the 1990s and get to work turning my dad's business finances around. That time machine hasn't been invented yet. Until it has, I want to spread the word in the here and now to prospective business owners just like yourselves about the importance of proactively managing the whole of your personal and business finances. There's a well-known Australian venture capitalist called Paul Bassat who has a similar message. His company, Square Peg, backs major startups with big money. It is said that when he meets entrepreneurs to give them the good news that he'll be investing in them, just as they're leaving his office, rather than an inspirational lecture, he says 5 simple words which pretty much sum up the bottom line for any business owner. Don't run out of money. It sounds almost too simple, doesn't it? But I know all too well from my own experience, from my own childhood, just how well chosen these words are. So set up and implement the things we have covered today, and by doing so, you won't run out of money. And what's more, you will maximize the chances of your new business not just surviving, but thriving. Thank you. Thank you.